Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Feuzion, host of Feuzion News. Today is February 1st, 2017, and I have a very big show for you right now. I'm joined right now by Jeff Goodman, ESPN college basketball analyst. So, Jeff, I know you are on your way to the big basketball game tonight. So, what do you think about this game tonight?
Well, seeing Villanova, so certainly they're one of those teams in the mix for the number one spot, Alex. And not a lot of disparity between a lot of these teams at the top right now. Obviously, I've got Kansas at number one after their win in rough against Kentucky, but Gonzaga's undefeated. Certainly, Villanova's in the mix as well, and Arizona's come on strong. I'm not sure they're number one right now, but they're certainly in the equation in the top five. They've come on strong. So Baylor, they play Kansas tonight. So that's another huge matchup tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we're about a few weeks away, until March 1st, and that really starts the talk of March Madness. And, are you a big March Madness fan?
Yeah, obviously. Huge. Have been forever. And, to me, it just kind of captivates the country come March. And after the Super Bowl, that's certainly when college basketball takes center stage for about, I'd say a month or so. And again, I think it's going to be interesting because Duke, who people thought was clearly the best team in the country, has not played like it this year.
Definitely. And of course, Syracuse is not playing up to their level of, the fans want them to be, and especially here in upstate New York, there's a lot of Syracuse fans around here. So do you see this, if you could pick four teams to be in the Final Four in the March Madness this year, who would be the four teams?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, it's tough to say without the brackets coming out, but I think Kentucky will end up being there. I think the guards are too strong. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, they're freshman guards. I think Kansas will be there. They've got some front court depth issues, but they've got veteran guards, Frank Mason and Devontae Graham, and a freshman, Josh Jackson, who's tremendous. I'm not sure who it's going to be from the ACC. I thought all along Duke would get it straightened out, but the longer this goes, the more I worry a little bit about their point guard problems. And Coach K is still on the sideline with that back injury. So I'm not sure who it is out of the ACC, but I think it's the toughest league in America. I think they'll be represented by somebody. And I think I probably would go with them at this point still to figure this thing out and at least get to Glendale, Arizona. Then the fourth one, I go back and forth in the Pac-12 between Oregon, Arizona, UCLA. I might defer on all three of those at this point because none of them to me seem like a Final Four team. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of write to refusal of that fourth team until I see a little bit more.
Okay, definitely. And Jeff, we'll switch gears now. And in high school here in upstate New York, I am taking a sports history class with Mr. Van Hosen. And this week we are talking about should Division I college athletes be paid? And I'm going to ask you this question: do you think the Division I college athletes, do you think they should be paid or no?
I go back and forth on this one too. I think right now they've got a stipend in place for the second year when players are getting some money. So I think that helps a little bit. And I think for now, that's the way to go. I do understand some players who bring a lot of revenue into the programs that they feel like they earn some money. But how do you do the whole process? That's my big thing is until you have it worked out with, like for instance, is Grayson Allen at Duke going to make the same amount of money as the 13th man at Duke that we don't know who he is? Or does he make more money? And how do you determine between a Duke player and a Sam Houston State player? Are they making the same amount of money every year? So I think there's a lot to be worked out before we even think about going that route.
Okay. Now, we'll switch gears now. And, of course, this Sunday is a Super Bowl. And I know before you went to ESPN, you were covering Boston sports. So, you've covered this Patriots team in the past. So do you see this Patriots team defeating the Falcons this Sunday night or no?
First of all, there's no worse thing than having to cover a Bill Belichick press conference. Nothing. You guys in upstate New York may think Boeheim stuff. Boeheim at least gives you something. Bill Belichick gives you absolutely nothing. I've sat there for press conferences, Alex, where it could be a half an hour, and I look at my notebook at the end of a half an hour, and I haven't written down a single word. That's how little he says. So I do think the Patriots will win another one here.
Okay.
I just think the culture, knowing they're supposed to win this one, without Gronkowski, they've done a great job, but they've proven over the years that they don't need big names around Tom Brady. They just kind of do their thing, play their roles, really kind of put their own egos aside for the team. And, I like Matt Ryan a lot. He played here at Boston College, not too far from me, and a class guy. And I think it's good for him that he's had this type of season, MVP caliber season, but I think the Patriots end up winning.
Okay. Now, I mentioned before you went to ESPN, you've been a part of a few other organizations, and I have to ask you, what do you like most about covering these different sports, and especially now with ESPN covering college basketball?
I've been so fortunate to be where I've been and where I am now. I mean, there aren't many, we find things to complain about, obviously, because that's what we do. We're never completely satisfied. But overall, when you look at what I've done for my career, I know how lucky I've been. And, I think part of it is hard work, and I think I have that. But I also feel like there's thousands and thousands of other people who could do my job and do it as well. But the combination of hard work and breaks, and being a little bit fortunate to get some good breaks over my career, that's enabled me to kind of be where I'm at. And I don't want to give anybody else the opportunity to take my job. So you try to work as hard as you can, try to meet as many people as you can, and it's about relationships. But I loved working at Fox. I loved working at CBS, and I love working at ESPN. They're all a little bit different. The big difference for me coming to ESPN was being on TV, where I really was never on TV before. So that's been an adjustment for me that's taken really, it's year 4 for me now, and it's taken this long to really feel comfortable on TV.
Yeah, and I love your coverage, of course, covering the college basketball scene. Now, I have to ask, I know you've been, you've interviewed so many different athletes and different coaches and even other beat writers. I have to ask, how do you go about conducting an interview, and how do you prepare for it, and how do you exactly go about really conducting the interviews that you do?
The key to me is getting him loose. Whoever you're talking to, you got to get him to loosen up. And I find out over the years, really it's about getting as much info to get them loose. Like, for instance, I did one recently with a golfer, Jordan Spieth, and his brother. His brother's a senior at Brown, the best player. And everybody told me, I'm not a big golf guy, but everybody told me going in, you got to be careful whether to have fun with him about his hair. I guess everybody rips on him for his hair. He's losing his hair, whatever. And he's only 23 years old. So, going into it, I'm thinking, how can I do this? And, how do I go about it to get him to loosen up? And really, I got he and his brother together. They're only about 14, 15 months apart. And his brother kind of did it for me. I was talking to his brother about the interview, and his brother started ripping on Jordan, and I kind of jumped on it a little bit. It loosened them up right away. And you've got to figure out those things that get them to really let their guard down. And it's not easy, especially now, like in the NBA, become tougher and tougher because these athletes don't trust the media anymore. They really don't, for the most part. I've known Jimmy Butler forever, and he doesn't trust me. He doesn't trust the media. It's just the way it goes. So how do you get guys like that, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, that are not easy? Try to get them to let down their guard. And college athletes, same thing to some extent, because they've got people telling them not to give a lot to the media. Be careful what you say. But I look at it differently. To me, when I cover kids in high school and college, it's about protecting them in high school and teaching them. In college, it's still more about letting them learn from their mistakes and really not trying to throw them under the bus. But when they get to the pros and they're making money, then I think they're more accountable. And if they make a mistake, kind of so be it. At that point, we've got to print it. But for the most part, before that, you try to help them along the way if you can.
Yeah, definitely. And final question before we wrap up this Feuzion News interview with Jeff Goodman, ESPN college basketball analyst. I have to ask. I love asking this question. We talk about your highlights. I have to ask. I have some of my embarrassing moments live on this show, and I have to ask: do you have a most embarrassing moment in your career?
Oh boy. I'm trying to think what the most embarrassing moment of my career was. Well, if you ever got the tape of me interviewing James Worthy, the former Los Angeles Lakers star, now Hall of Famer, I was 13, maybe 14 years old, and my voice hadn't changed at that point. So it sounded like I was a girl, and I asked the dumbest questions. It was the first interview I ever did. I think I was 13, and my voice hadn't changed. And that would probably be the most embarrassing moment if anybody ever got a hold of that.
Okay. Well, hopefully, now your voice is great, so, you don't have to worry about that ever again, right?
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You're having me on, and it's a good thing you're doing with the show and being assertive and really getting after it, because not enough people do that anymore. And to be honest, when you reached out to me, that's the first thing that stood out to me was the fact that you were going after what you want to do in your career. Too many people these days aren't as focused, and I think it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. And before we end the interview, where can the fans follow you on Twitter and read your articles on ESPN?
At Goodman ESPN is my Twitter handle, and definitely, I interact as much as I can, and write on ESPN and on TV, and a little bit of everything, which keeps me from being bored.
Yep. Great. Thank you again for Mr. Goodman for coming on my show tonight. I greatly do appreciate you taking the time to come on.
You got it. Thanks for having me. Take
Anytime.
care.
Thank you. Okay, Fuse Nation, I'll be back here live about 7:30 with JJ from Barstool Sports. We'll be talking Yankees off-season, Super Bowl, his whole Barstool Sports, where you can follow them on Twitter as well. Thank you, Fuse Nation. Follow me on Twitter at AlexFuse. Always be a subscriber of Fusion News. I'll be back here at 7:30 once again. Thanks for watching. Be kind to one another, and I will see you at 7:30. Thanks for watching.